in the jigger when we're driving around. No, Karen, actually, Karen's just referring to the heart shape on. Obviously, you guys can see what I'm seeing. Sorry, I'm a bit of a bush boy sometimes. You must realize that I still type with two fingers if I know what to type. Half the time I don't even know that. But not yet, Karen. I just remembered it from another time. I think it was on one of the chats actually here that someone mentioned it to me. I had a look at it from the waterhole. So it was just a lovely view. And so whenever I see that now, sometimes people point things out and it sort of jumps out at you. Also, the heart shape has been in my mind a lot more, having seen at leopard yesterday, and I know this is something Karen is very, very keen on and has emailed before and has already again and in the future again, I'm sure, to find different people that might ID this leopard. Now, Karen, having spent years in the bush and even different game reserves where, sometimes the approach is very scientific and other times the approach is very sort of more a feeling, where people ID animals relative to what they know. Obviously, knowledge is important and specific features, but sometimes people also ID things just for what it feels like. So, I haven't been able to get a positive ID on that leopard. We did call that leopard Tyson some time ago. The guys are calling him Jordan male now. They've called it, a while back there was a kill on Zoe's Road, a big kudu female. I don't know if you were around at the time. Can you remember it? That kill we saw in the evening a few times. That was the same male. They called him Jordans then. So obviously they convinced it's Jordans. But now, a male that was called Jordans up until not that long before, I remember seeing him up here on Buffelshoek boundary, I can't remember what kill it was, and I also photographed him years ago when I was guiding him when he was younger. Jordan was a very light coloured leopard, had a very pale face, and this leopard that we saw yesterday again, not Mafufunyan, the one that was moving away, is anything but pale. He's one of the most beautiful males I've ever seen. He's got big, almost jaguar-like markings on his body. He's got really nice red colour as well. He's got, some leopards are more sort of beige and some get that little bit of a terracotta colour almost in between the rosettes, and he's a beautiful leopard. And he's got that very clear heart shape on the forehead. So, for the moment, I'm just going to be referring to him as Yambilu, which is a word I heard or learned a while back when I started learning from Sipiwe, and everyone was telling me Shiluva Yambilu Yanga, which means the flower of my heart, which is one of my nicknames for Lishan. Oops, I just changed the radio there. So Yambilu means heart, literally. Yambilu. Sipiwe? Yambilu. So I'll be referring to it a little bit as that, just because it's a very easy ID feature on the forehead. It's a beautiful Shanghai name, and he gets my heart beating a bit maybe. It's an absolutely stunning leopard. The kudu has arrived. Where? I was going to say, I'm looking at the water. I'm like, I can't be that blind yet, so I'm supposed to be able to at least spot animals, even if I can't handle computers all that well. Chat and Jika, otherwise you can. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Now, I don't want to go into it too much. It's a bit of a surprise still when it does come along, and there's a whole lot of things that has to happen. So we should sort of forget about it for now. But if the chat was on the vehicle, I would be glancing at it now and again, and maybe have someone that sends through specifically good questions. One of the things that's fantastic on the drive, just catching up here on all the. I've been going at it. I know Akila is also very involved. Graham normally forwards these things to me, so I'm aware of them, even if I don't necessarily always respond. I try and spend as little as time on a computer as possible, and I spend a lot on the computer. I run around on that screen inside there for 7 hours a day sometimes. But now I totally forget what I was getting to. You see, looking for animals and reading the chat will be a difficult thing, but the brain can get used to it. The kudu is M's, thank you. So next time we see a kudu, it might be M's arriving at the waterhole. Do we still have? Which one is that? I don't have Still's photo of Jordan actually. Nothing any good. I had some from years ago, but they were all in prints, and I don't have them with me. And maybe I'll ask Charles and if they have any ID pictures. The guy to get in, and I'm going to try and get him in. I know Karen has been in touch with him. Is Andre de Kok from Aretuza. He knows the leopards quite well, and he's got a lot of ID photographs. I see a lot of leopard activity down Aretuza way. They've got quite a big drainage line running through there, so they get a lot of cats moving and through there. But yeah, in the same time, again, the ID is very important, and it's amazing that people put the effort in, like Karen, you guys are. It's something that I've enjoyed. Pilanesberg, for instance, where I worked, there was much more a scientific approach. It wasn't sort of, well, I think it's that leopard because I know him. It was rather, I know that leopard, but I can tell you it's him because I can see that spot or that notch or that whisker spot, or he's got that kink in his tail, very specific things so that you know that it's a correct ID when you make it. So that's sort of the background I come from. So I tend to be very, I want to be very correct. I don't want to ID a leopard and say that's John and it's Mark, because then I'll feel silly afterwards. But we'll try and get Andre in at some stage, maybe for a fireside chat as well. So yeah, that leopard, hopefully we see him again soon. Hopefully he starts hanging around more often even, and we get to know him more. Yes, I would also rather watch the road and the areas around it. Yeah, it's nice to be in here a bit. I actually need to come and do this again at some stage just to keep myself used to reading and talking and looking all at the same time. But yeah, it's been very good. I mean, the last week and a half, almost, or actually a bit longer even, 2 weeks since I've been back, it's been a lot of fun just getting out there every day. It gets a little bit long sometimes a day. Live is still a very interesting space for me. It's a lot of fun. It makes you feel very alive as well. But it's sort of, it's almost as if you need more oxygen while you're live and more rest afterwards. But it's been a lot of fun just getting out there so much. We've had fantastic wildlife activity. All the leopards that's been coming and going. That's obviously been very enjoyable. I heard Charles earlier at the end of their drive, just before breakfast, when we were heading out for the walk, they had some ellies coming this way, so Pee-wee, maybe later today. They were only, if I'm pointing from the final control in that direction, so looking at the waterhole, they're in a sort of a northeasterly direction, so they'll be coming from the wall side, maybe later on. Yeah, small breeding out of ellies that were around.
When I arrived this morning, I saw one male, the male one, when I come to work, closer to the gate.
Okay, on the way through from the gate. Okay, well, maybe he comes around. Hopefully some ellies back in the direction. We've had great leopard activity. It's been good fun having Rory around as well. It's always nice to have friends, but also people that have been coming along with Wildearth. He's been following bits and pieces quite a bit, so he's got a very good understanding of it. It was nice on the weekend. I'm sure you guys noticed it was a bit more light-hearted and a bit more fun. And I'm looking forward to having more fun on the drive as well. The massive lioness, just a question there from Karen. When I hear massive lioness, I immediately think about the Styx pride. So I would be tempted to say that the lioness Nick and Helen saw, which is a while back. I mean, they're Canadian by now, but if they saw a big lioness by herself, I would be tempted to guess, and this is just obviously a sort of a guesstimate, but most likely a Styx female. They are very, very large females, and whenever I see them, which has only been, I've only seen them maybe 3 or 4 times, I think, since with Wildearth. We used to see them a lot more often when I worked at Bush Lodge as a guide back in the day. We saw them very often. They hang out more that side. But they are monster lionesses, very large, sort of like the Maneleti males, these 2 new males that we're starting to see. They are, especially the one of the smaller male, he's one of the bigger lions I've seen ever. And again, going back to Pilanesberg and also having spent a lot of time in Etosha, Namibia, which is very close to where my dad lives now. They've got some of the biggest lions alive today. The Etosha males, or Etosha lions, are considered genetically some of the largest. I know Hamapsi, one of the males in Pilanesberg, which was original from Etosha, weighed, I think at one stage they weighed him at 200, I don't want to lie now, 260 kilograms if I remember correctly. Massive lions. The leopard male that looked like a lioness. Okay, there I'm going on about a whole long talk, and I should have read the next line. Yeah, no, I can't remember that. I remember back when they saw a big male, there was also words of Tyson flying around, but yeah, I'm always very careful, as you've noticed, to put a name to a leopard unless I'm really sure which ID it is. Otherwise, I also like the surprise of it. I do like the surprise element of seeing new cats and figuring out who they are, figuring out how they fit in as well. How they integrate themselves into the system and the territorial systems. It's one of the joys of being part of such a large area. I spoke to Rory yesterday. He's driving around in Kruger at the moment for a few days. And essentially an elephant that he sees 100 kilometers from here could end up here as well. Not that likely, obviously, but animals do move around. And that's one of the great things about being in such a large ecological system, even if we drive a relatively small part of it, is that you can have random things coming and going. We could see a leopard or a lion or an elephant this afternoon that we've never seen before. And that is something that I really enjoy and appreciate.